So, money morals, the name of this talk, money morals and global impact, right? How are those things related? Are they related, actually? Money, morals, global impact. Well, let's talk about global impact for a minute. So, global impact, I know a lot of good people, and I think that in this room really, we've had some amazing people in here today. Most good people I know, they want to do something great in the world. Wouldn't you agree that's what gets them out of bed? It's generally not the money. The money's a terrible why. But they want to do something great in the world. They feel like they have a light that they want to share with the world. They want to impart a gift that they have. Maybe they have specified knowledge that they want to share, right? Or perhaps on their journey, they took a journey, maybe through necessity, they found a solution and they feel compelled to share the solution. And they feel like if they could get that solution out there to lots of eyeballs and ears, then truly, as grandiose as it may seem, they could make the world a better place. Honestly, that's what drives them, isn't it? If we think about global impact, there's probably some things that we'll all agree on that are part of the recipe, right? So you have to have great vision, clarity of vision, and you have to be able to articulate that vision in simple terms to many people. And you got to get a certain level of buy-in on the vision. Then you have to surround yourself with great people like we're doing today. That's a huge part of the key, right? Maybe it goes farther than that. Find a mentor, a coach. We might have to invest in ourselves, right? Develop people. That takes a lot of patience, right? Have a great work ethic, a really intense work ethic, right? In fact, what about just tenacity? Like the ability to withstand pain and discomfort. That's a huge element of success, and of course, being able to create a global impact. So all those things, we certainly agree they're necessary, but there's one piece that people undervalue. They put little importance on that's really crucial to creating a broad impact, and that is being good at the monetization side of things. Like, you got to get good at the monetization side, right? That's the part we don't like. We just wish we could do our thing, and I wish somebody else could do that. I just want to help people, and then somebody else asks for the money. I get it. It feels icky sometimes when you ask for the money, right? But we got to get good at that part. Because here's the deal. If your vision is truly, like if you're serious and your vision is to impact tens of thousands of people or potentially millions, I got news for you. Like, in a real world, that's going to cost millions of dollars. Especially in today's world, there's so much noise. To get your light, to get your vision, to get your specified, your gift up in the air so it can be seen or heard, it's going to take millions of dollars. So we got to get good at making the money. I mean, it is. Now, I will say that, I'm a total fan of Zig Ziglar's work, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. Love those guys, right? And the motto is like, help enough people get what they want, and then you'll be successful. And I get that. I love it. I believe it, right? But making a lot of money, it can't be a byproduct of just doing good to others, right? You just can't. Now, we should be others focused, provide value to people. We want to give to others. We want to be subservient leaders, right? We want to give without expecting anything in return. Of course, that's what's the first goal. Money should never be the first goal. Probably not even the second or the third. But we agree that monetization should at least be on the first hand of priorities, right? It has to be on the first hand. Because the fact of the matter is, this is one of my pet peeves. People are on social media or wherever, they're positioning themselves as some type of an expert, but the message that they're saying is like, look, it's not about the money. It isn't. I just want to help people and more people, and gosh, help more people. They're so focused on the cause, right? Like 100% of their lens is just help people, but virtually no focus on the monetization side, right? Well, the fact of the matter is that if they don't have some focus, it shouldn't be the first focus, but it needs to be an intent. It needs to be intentional. It can't be a byproduct of just doing good and then, when you focus on others, when you're others focused, you provide value to others, money flows. It flows to you. Larry can tell you all about law, these different laws. Universal laws will kick in and money will flow. Of course that's true. But it can't only be a byproduct of the good that you do. It has to be intentional. There has to be an intent to be good and to learn how to make a lot of money. If your vision is global impact. That's all I'm saying. If you don't want to make a global impact, be good in your community, help a handful of friends and family, totally great. But for those that are preaching global impact, then it's necessary. Right? One of my pet peeves, again, is they're telling all these people we want to do this and that, but they're not acting congruent. See, that's a problem, right? And so just something to kind of think about. Now, I want to tell you a story. I was asked actually to relay a story to you, and those of you that follow my stuff, I've told this story before, but there's a very specific point that I want you to take away today, a very specific intent that I'm telling this story. So there's this guy. No, that's the way a lot of my stuff starts. There's this guy. No, there's actually a guy. So there's a sardine fisherman, right? Now, I've never caught sardine. I like sardines, but I presume that you don't use a little tiny hook to catch sardines. You probably throw some type of a net, right? I live in Florida, so there's a lot of this going on in lower Alabama, Florida, okay? Probably a cast net. So they're out there every day. They're just throwing the net. He's bringing in these sardines, throwing the net. It's very labor intensive because remember, it takes a lot of sardines to sustain a family. And when you want to take a break because your shoulder's hurting, you go over here. The birds are circling to peck off your stuff, right? So they're out there every day just doing it. Oh, God, automatic. One day you're out there throwing the net. The guy's out there throwing the net. And he looks over to his right. And he sees a couple of old timers in a beautiful stream. And they're doing this bit. Like they're doing this bit, fly fishing, right? I kind of imagine that movie, River Runs Through It with Brad Pitt. You know what I'm talking about? That was a great movie. Ladies, Brad Pitt's not here. Okay. But he may be. I don't know what Brad's doing these days. But that's kind of what I envision. They're out there. It's almost like an art. And this guy's throwing the net. He's mesmerized. And he's looking and he asks one of the other guys, one of the other net throwers, hey, what are the guys doing over there? And he says, oh man, them guys got it figured out. Them are salmon fishermen. So every day he shows up with his net, but he's highly anticipated. He's waiting to see if they'll be there. That's how he gets through his day, his existence. He's throwing the net and he's watching these guys. And you could have the thought, he could have the thought, I want to be a salmon fisherman, right? But if he were to go to the salmon area with current gear in hand, he's going to starve. His family's going to suffer. Because with a net, and let's say these giant salmon, let's say steelhead, you can't get in range, in the steelhead range with that kind of net, right? Not only that, but if you happen to throw a net over a steelhead, you're probably going in the water, potentially drown. So if you really want to be a salmon fisherman, like if you're committed to be a salmon fisherman, what do you got to do? Step number one is you have to be the best net thrower. You have to be the best sardine fisherman. You have to be efficient. See, because if you're throwing the net every day till 5 p.m., 6 p.m., even later, 7 p.m., if you're throwing the net until dark, right, then there's no time to go over and talk to the old timers. There's no time to have success. I see it all the time in my companies. People are too busy to be successful, right? If you really want to be a salmon fisherman, what do you got to do? You got to figure out ways to create efficiencies, right? Eventually, don't try to scale the dimes, right? You got to scale the efficiencies. Think about efficiencies till you can only throw the net till about 2:30 in the afternoon. So if you can make your living by throwing the net and bringing in enough sardines by 2:30 in the afternoon, now you have time to go over to the old timer and say, hey man, what are you using? Show me your fly. What are them called? Waders? Like, how do you do this bit? What's that all about? Like, you have time to do it. Probably over time, you're going to have to make a small investment to get a fly rod. And eventually, you'll have enough confidence that you're the third man in the stream, and you're standing right between two other old timers that really got it figured out, and you got the same technique, just like them, same fly, you're out there. It's artistic. I mean, you're doing it, right? And 99% of your consciousness is convinced that you're a salmon fisherman. Convinced, right? It's just a matter of time mathematically. Both these guys are landing steelhead. I know it's coming, baby. Like, you are convinced. But there's a very small part of your consciousness, maybe 1%, and for sure subconscious, that's going to start talking in your ear. You're going to get inner chatter saying, what are you doing, man? Like, you're not a salmon fisherman, dude. You're a net thrower. You got to get back to the net. You're going to starve. It's going to happen, right? Until you what? Until you land the first salmon, until you bank the first salmon. Then 100% of your conscious thought and subconscious, the first thing you say is, I don't think, I know I can catch salmon. Like, I know I'm a salmon, right? I know I'm a salmon fisherman. In fact, I'm selling my net. I'm done with the net throwing stuff. I'm going to sell the net because I am a bona fide salmon fisherman. And you are now. Second thought that you have is when you taste the salmon, second thought is, sardines taste like crap. Right? I like sardines, but you can't eat them all day. That's fishy. Okay? So now you're a bona fide salmon fisherman. You're out there every day with the guys. Bob, what are you doing? Larry, what's happening? You're a bona fide salmon fisherman. And one day you're out there. Anything, remember, that we do for a while will become automatic. And you're out there and you're doing your little art thing. You're doing this. And you look over to your right and there's this grassy knoll area. Right? And there's these guys with shotguns in a formation. And they're marching forward into a tree line. And you're mesmerized. Every day you show up there, you're hoping they'll be there. And you're watching these guys. Sometimes they march into the form. Sometimes less guys come out. You're like, where do those guys go? And you ask one of the salmon fishermen, you say, hey man, what are them guys doing over there? And he says, man, you don't want to go over there. Those guys are crazy. They were bear hunters. And you're like, bear hunters? Wow. You could have the idea, I want to be a bear hunter. But if you were to go with your current tackle in hand, you're not going to make it, right? If you confront a grizzly, anybody in here ever confronted a grizzly with a fly rod? No hands will ever go up because they all died. They all perished. There's none, right? So if you really want to be a bear hunter, what do you got to do? The first thing you got to do is master the salmon game. See, if you're fishing for salmon till 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., or later, you're not going to have enough time to learn bear hunting. You're too busy for success. You're not going to. See, if you really want to do it, what do you got to do? Create some efficiencies, maybe add to the team, develop people, but you got to fish for salmon till about 2:30. And then you have time to go over and talk to the crazy guys and say, dude, how do you guys not die? Like, tell me what that's all about. What gun do you have? How do you do this? Right, you're finding a guy in the lodge that has the claws, right? And you're like listening to his stories. Maybe eventually they even let you go on a hunt as an observer because you're learning how not to die, how to mitigate risk, right? And the first bear you kill, it might be pretty sloppy, man. Like you might go out there, you're trembling, you're shaking, you trip over a rock, gun goes off, hits the bear, he falls, hits his head on a rock and dies. And you're like, dude, I'll take it. Like you're a bear hunter, right? See, but again, you're going to get inner chatter saying, dude, what are you doing in the forest? Like, you don't belong here. You're going to die. You got to get back to the salmon area, man. You can't be here until you bag the first bear. Now you know, I can do this, right? Now, what's this story have to do with anything? Money, morals, or a global impact, for sure. Here's the way I look at this. When you are making your living by tens of dollars at a time or hundreds of dollars at a time, that is basically the definition of throwing the net. We're sardine fishermen. I mean, I'm not trying to offend. I'm just saying, if we're making our money tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars at a time, we are probably throwing the net. Now, I know a lot of professionals, doctors, attorneys, engineers, C-suite executives, they're making hundreds of thousands a year, right? They have a golden net. They got a golden net. But the day they stop throwing the net, see, the pile dwindles. See, eventually you're going to get baritis in the shoulder and you're going to be like, dude, how long do I got to throw this net? Right? We just can't continue that way or we'll never have a chance to create a global impact. We'll never have the appropriate resources to create. I mean, honestly, think about it. I want to make a global impact. I'm going to help all these people. If we don't get good at the money side of things, like, what are we even talking about? Like, it's the last, maybe it's on the first hand, but if we don't figure out a way to garner the appropriate resources, then we're never going to accomplish the first objective, which is the most important: help people, impact more people. Like, we can't fund it. It's not sustainable, right? When we're doing strategic joint ventures, we're doing deals, right? 100,000 at a time strategic joint ventures, collaborative partnerships, 6-figure deals. It's not retirement, but it's pretty nice. In my opinion, those are salmon deals. They're nice. You catch a salmon, you don't have to fish tomorrow if you don't want to. You can sustain on a salmon for a while. When you go into the forest and you bag a bear, that's a one and done. Those are 7, 8-figure deals. Bag a bear unscathed, you don't die, you can be done. If you bag 2 bears, you're starting to become the things of legends. You know, you got not 1, but 2. Now, bear deals, first of all, nobody lives in the forest because it's too darn dangerous. The most successful people in the world, we don't live in the forest. We live in the salmon area. See, we sustain ourselves on a healthy diet of salmon. And then strategically, 3, 4, 5 times a year, we go strategically on hunts. We hire the right guide, we invest in the right gear, we got the people telling us how not to die, and then we hopefully leave unscathed, and we bag a couple a year. But we live in the salmon area. Does that make sense? I mean, it's something that we have to learn. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I'm a bear hunter, right? And if you want to be a bear hunter, we can learn how to do that, but I got to tell you, it's got to be intentional. It's got to be intentional. And it takes a little bit of salmon to bait bear. Think about that. It takes a little bit of salmon sometimes to bait bear. So just a few things to think about. We got to get intentional. If we want to make a lot of money, hey, being good, money's going to flow, but it's got to be intentional. Get good at the monetization. Create efficiencies. Think about how to get out of the net. We got to move camp to the salmon area. Let's get to the salmon area as soon as possible. If we're living in the sardine area, that is wrong. Create efficiencies, cut your thing down to 2:30 in the afternoon, move to the salmon area, strategically go on hunts. That's the first step in getting on the path to creating a global impact. That's the first step to get generational wealth, to fund what you truly want to do. And that is how to have your cake and eat it too. Thank you so much for hanging out for the end of the day. It's my honor to speak with so many amazing people. Live well and prosper fairly.